Hello, and today we have Hanna Hermanson. And Hanna is certified business coach and success trainer, helping coaches and entrepreneurs build brands that afford them freedom. Her philosophy is that dream life is real life, and she teaches mission-driven brands now to create more streams of income, contribution, and purpose in their daily lives. Welcome, Hanna. Welcome.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Viktoriia.
Yes. Okay. So let's get started. And I would love, as always, to hear your story on how did you become a business coach? And I know you're helping mostly health coaches, right? Yeah, I've heard your vision before. It's so beautiful. So share please with us, how did you?
Yeah. So I wasn't that kid that was like starting the lemonade stand or selling baseball cards. Like, I definitely didn't have a sense of entrepreneurship growing up at all. I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin where my parents both really worked for the weekend, worked for schools or for the city. And I didn't really have any example of anything other than just living paycheck to paycheck and staying close to home, really. But I always had this sense inside of me that that wasn't quite what I wanted for my adult life, but I didn't know what else it could be. So I finally got the opportunity in college to start to travel a little bit. I didn't leave the country, my state, really, until I was 19. And my first taste of travel being in the Dominican Republic, I worked in an orphanage for a break during college, really opened my eyes to there are different ways of living, being, and working. And so that inspired me to pursue education because I wanted to give other people the exposure that I just didn't have when I was sitting in my classroom, getting straight A's, doing the right thing, some might say. So I did pursue education and I landed a dream job as an academic advisor. And my alma mater, go Badgers, UW Wisconsin, I was a academic advisor. And that was really exciting because, again, I wanted to help people set goals and become better, different versions of themselves. But what I soon realized is that working for a university is pretty bureaucratic. And I found myself in this cubicle, repeating myself every half an hour, showing students 40 options for their major and saying, good luck. I hope it all works out for you. And so again, I had this sense inside of me that there was something more, something that I was missing. And again, I got out of my cubicle and I started to network and do the things they tell you to do when you're supposed to advance your career or make a change. But it was actually in a yoga class that I started to connect with people. I would literally play hooky from my day job and go to yoga at 10 a.m. And I would look around class and I would be like, how are all of these people here? What do they do that they can be in yoga at 10 o'clock? Literally, I was curious because I started asking some people and making friends in yoga class. And that was my first exposure to entrepreneurship because I met a woman who was starting a startup and she was teaching school teachers how to bring yoga into their classrooms. And then, aha, that's the real dream job. But again, no one presented that to me as an option. So I actually started working for her startup, and that really opened up a lot of doors. It brought me to San Francisco, California, way different than anything I had lived like, no one I knew here, anything like that. But about 5 weeks after coming to San Francisco, the startup couldn't afford me anymore. So I got laid off. And I was in San Francisco, knowing I wasn't willing to go back to a cubicle and having this taste of purpose, being part of a mission-driven organization. And so I went down the path of life coaching and helping people, and we can get into what I learned there. But like I said, I never grew up thinking, yeah, I'm going to work online and coaching people. I just followed that feeling, that voice inside of me that there's something more, there's something different for you, Hannah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What would you say when you were starting up, like when you laid off of the startup and then you started your coaching business and now you have such a successful practice and helping coaches to create their business?
Yeah.
What would you say will be your like number one mistake? I know there's no mistakes, but in terms of
Oh, very differently. So I spent 6 months in my tiny apartment by myself, snacking, napping, and binging on freebies. I was collecting all of the webinars, all of the free courses, all of the books. I was dinking around with a free website. I wasted so much energy without having a game plan or a roadmap. I just figured, okay, I'll just study everyone else and figure it out. And that was definitely a mistake. I wish I would have gotten mentorship and hand holding way earlier. I wouldn't have gained weight. I wouldn't have felt so bad. I wouldn't have wasted 6 months of just spending rent to sit in this apartment. Yeah.
I always say, right, what time cost you? You don't want to hire somebody right now, but how much do rents, like when you mentioned that, I was like, so perfect. How much rent costing you, food and everything monthly that you can afford not hire a professional to get you faster to result where you can make more money?
Yeah.
Totally doesn't make any sense to me. All right. And what is the number one advice you will give to someone who is starting out and or growing their business already?
Yeah, hit the sidewalk. So metaphorically, I wish I would have gotten out of my apartment and networked or talked to people off of the internet. But you can do that even if you're quarantined or still in this pandemic. So hitting the sidewalk and getting into conversation with real people, not their webinar, not their book, but starting to talk to real people and figuring out where could you help them? Is there a problem that exists that no one else is fixing? Because when we just sit and watch how other people have done it, we become copiers. But when we get into action and conversation, that's when we become creators.
I love that. Oh, I loved it, loved it. Finish the last sentence. I have a last question for you, and it's sound like this. If you really knew me, you will know that I am blank.
A homebody, which is crazy because I'm a digital nomad, right? So my husband and I have lived in our backpacks. We're moving back to Mexico. We love to travel, but I live for cozy couch, quiet time, even if I'm alone. And I portray myself and I function really well as an extrovert, traveling, talking, teaching, supporting groups, but I love my alone, quiet, cozy time. And not
Yeah,
everyone knows that.
it sounds so good once you're just saying it. And where the audience can find you online and get connected with you and talk to real people like you.
Yeah, let's get in conversation. Absolutely. And for listeners, I do have a little gift. So if you go to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show, you can access our blueprint. Like I said, that hand holding, that step-by-step roadmap to go from thinking you want to be a coach to having high ticket paying clients. We teach you our 3 C's, which is really the shortcut that I wish I would have had starting out. dreamlifeisreallife.com/show.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Hannah. And it was wonderful to have you today with us. And I'll see you tomorrow in the next episode. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you love this podcast, please make sure to rate, subscribe, and review it. And of course, you can get in touch with me everywhere online at purposefulwithdoubleLday.com. And I can't wait to see you next time. Kisses!